Hey everybody, BK Adams here. Today I'm going to go through the Mighty Protector's combat rules and show you a little bit of what it's like. So previously I had randomly created a superhero who I named Scream, who has sonic powers and invisibility and a few other things. And then I also randomly created a supervillain who I named Flux. Um, and then I made this little map, and it's an alleyway with like a little open area with some vehicles and some dumpsters. And we'll start it off. I'm going to say that Scream has already been invisible for a round, and I'll go ahead and mark off her invisibility costs power requirement is 1 per round. So she drops from a 57 to a 56 power. So we'll go ahead and do that. And she's snuck up. She's sneaking, which is half movement, right? So she's gotten here, and now I'm just going to say classic comic book. She's come across a crime scene where the supervillain is selling these guns to a couple of underworld thug types. So she's sneaking, which is half her normal movement, and she's gotten here, and I'm going to give them a chance to hear her, which is going to be hard because you have to roll a critical, okay? And I believe Flux has a normal intelligence as well. So they all have a 10 or less chance, and that's a normal chance. And so for a crit, they have to roll a 1. But there's also range penalties, right? So from the nearest thug, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's about 9 to 10 away. A 10 is a -2, so that would be an 8 or less. I'm going to use my wizard's random roller and roll a d20. And he rolled a 15, so he does not hear. The other thug needs the same thing. He rolls a 2, but that's not a 1, so it's not a crit. And then lastly, there's the supervillain Flux, and he rolled 11. So none of them hear her. So now it's another round. And since combat has not started, I am not going to roll initiative yet. So I'm going to keep having Scream sneak. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. She's like going along the wall here. Okay, on the other side of these cars. So now that she's closer, they get rolls again to hear her. They can't see her because she's invisible, but they can try and hear her with a critical success. So the nearest thug is 1, 2, 3. He's only 4 away, so he has no range penalty. So he needs he has to roll a 1. He does not roll a 1. Second thug rolls a 20, which might be a fumble, but we don't worry about that for perception. And then the supervillain, he rolled a 1. So now the way criticals work is you have to roll a 1 for there to be a chance that it's a critical. Now let's look him up. Let's see, where is he? Here he is. Okay, his intelligence save, which is what you use for perception rolls, is a 10 or less. But he's a little further from our hero. He is, let's see, he is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's 6 away, so that's a -1. So now he rolled a 1, but he's also got, now he has to roll a 9 or less for it to be a critical. He rolled a 9. He hears something. Okay, so he just heard something. He heard her. And we'll just say we'll start initiatives now. Now Flux has a heightened initiative ability, so her initiative is a die 6 plus 2. So when I roll it, I need to add a 2 to it. And she gets an 8, which is a maximum. So I will put an 8 down for her initiative. Okay. Next up, we've got Flux. And his initiative is the die 6. So let's go ahead and reset the random roller. He got a 5. So let's write that down. Type it rather. And then the 2 thugs, he could, he can let them know something's going on. They've got a d6 as well. So the first thug gets a 3. And the other thug gets a 5. Okay. So let's see. We have 2 5s. So Scream goes first with an 8. So she's not too happy that. Oh, and by the way, now she's at 55 power because it's another round. So looking at our map, she is pretty close to the 2 thugs. So she wants to. We're going to do something. She's going to do a multiple action. She's going to take 2 attacks. She's going to fire at thug number 1 and thug number 2 with her sonic blast attack. And let's see. She is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 away, and 1, 2, 3, 4 away. So she has no range penalty on thug number 1 and a -1 on thug number 2. But she's also got a -3 for doing a multiple attack. A multiple action rather, and that is, let's see, do I have that up? Right, so in section 451, multiple actions, it says the character may attempt to perform multiple actions during the same phase with a penalty. The task checks for each of the simultaneous actions suffer a penalty of -3 for each extra action. So she's doing an extra attack, that falls under multiple actions, so she's a -3, an extra -3 on each of those attacks. So if we look at the thugs, they have a 0 physical defense. They're pretty normal. They do have more power and hit points than a normal person, but not massively so. Now Scream has she has a normal chance of 14 or less to hit, but she also has weakness detection, which gives her a bonus on hitting as well as damage. So, and that takes, it looks like it just takes 1 inch of movement. So what she could do, well, she also has a bonus because she's invisible. They can't see her, and they didn't hear her. So she has a bonus of +3 to hit. So what she's going to do is she is going to take her normal chance, which is 14 or less. That's reduced to an 11, but she gets a +3 because they can't see her. So that becomes a 14. So she has a 14 or less to hit thug number 1 and a 13 or less to hit thug number 2. So let's go ahead and roll that and see if she hits. So here's a d20, a 10. She hits. She hit thug number 1, and her damage is 2 die 8. So let's go ahead and roll that. She rolls 9 points of damage. So thug number 1 just got hit with a sonic blast for 9 kinetic damage. He has no kinetic protection, but he can roll with it because the supervillain alerted him that something was going on. So he takes 9 damage. He can roll with 4 of it, so his power drops to 39. But he also takes 5 hit points, which is more than half of his current hit points. He drops to 4, and he's knocked unconscious. He also took 5 hit points, and there is knockback. And the way knockback works is you subtract your mass roll from the damage you took. So he took 5. He has a mass roll of d4, so let's roll a d4, which is a 1. So he's going to move back from her attack roughly in a straight line 4 squares. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. And he is knocked out, so we'll just put a KO next to him so we can remember that he's knocked out. Okay. Her second attack on the other thug, he was just a little bit further away, and she needed a 13 or less to hit. So let's roll that and see if she hits. She rolled a 7, so she hit. She does 2 die 8. Let's roll that damage. She rolled a 9 again. Well, the same thing's going to happen. Except this thug is, even at an angle, he's probably going to hit the back of this truck, assuming there's any knockback. So let's go to, that's thug number 2. Here's thug number 2. He took 9 damage. He rolls with 4 of it. His power goes to 39. His hit points go to 4. He's knocked out, and he's going to be knocked back. The question is how far. So here's his d4 mass roll, a roll of 2. So 5 minus 2 is 3. So he is going to hit this truck with a force of 3 damage. He is not going to break through its armor because all vehicles have a minimum of 3. But he will take 3 more damage. He's unconscious. He cannot roll with it. So now his hit points drop to 1. And he is really knocked out. So we'll put a KO next to him. So that was her multiple attack action. Now she's going to move because she's been spotted, or at least heard by this villain. She wants to move from where she was. So she goes 1, 2, 4, 5. She moves over here. Right? She's still invisible. By the way, she has to spend the power for 2 Sonic Blasts. Her Sonic Blast is PR1. So that's 2 more power. So her power drops from 55 to 53. And she already spent the power for her invisibility. She's going to stay invisible. Now, next up, since both of the thugs are knocked out, actually, thug number 1 has a chance of waking up. Let's see, where is he? But thug number 1 doesn't go on 3. I think it's the villain. Yeah, he goes on 5, and he's got a high agility, so he's going to go first. So he heard her over in this spot, right? Near this green car. So he is going to use his magnetic ability. Well, let's see. He might want to turn on his force field. And I'm not sure if that takes an action or not. Let me look it up. So I looked up force field. It does take an action as well as 16 power to turn on. So he's going to do that. He's going to turn on his force field. He has 58 power. That's going to drop to 40. Let's see, what is 42? I think that's right. So force field is a big chunk of power, and that takes an action. Now he can move, and maybe he should move somewhere. So let's see. He'll just take a step over here like this, just a little bit away from the truck. Okay. Now, both of the thugs have a chance to wake up. And the way you wake up is you have to roll your current hit points on a d20 or less. Now, one of them is at 1 hit point. So we'll roll that. He rolls a 1. That is a lucky thug. Thug number 2 just woke up. So he is no longer knocked out, but he is prone. And he can try and stand up, and he'll do that. And if he makes a critical, it's either an action or it's not a critical. So basically, he spends his entire phase waking up. He's like, oh my god, can't believe that. Thug number 1, he's at 4 hit points, so he has to roll a 4 or less. He does not roll a 4 or less, so he stays knocked out. The round is over. We'll go ahead and say it's a new round. And we'll roll initiative for Scream. She's a die 6 plus 2. She gets an 8 again, so rolling pretty good. 8 plus 8, so that's her second roll. We'll go ahead and she spends a point for her invisibility. She drops to 52. Let's do the thug. Number 2 woke up. His initiative, let's go ahead and reset everything on the roller. He gets a 5, so he's a 5 again. And the other thug is knocked out. And our villain is also a d6, and he gets a 1. So not too good. Okay, so he's a 1. So Scream goes first. Let's see, where's our map? So she's over here now. She's not terribly worried about the thug. She might want to blast Flux and then move again. So she will do that. So Flux, and again, she might want to move up to him and try to find a weakness on him. So yeah, that makes more sense. So she's going to sneak over, and let's see, can she get there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, she can sneak over here. She's gonna be right here, kind of on his side, but she's sneaking. So he needs to roll a 1 to have a chance of hearing her. He rolls an 18, so he doesn't hear her. He still thinks she's over here somewhere. So he goes next. He's turned his force field on. He's going to try and pick, or he's not going to try, he's going to pick up this green car with his magnetic thing and smash it basically where she was, or where he thinks she still is, right? Now, with an area effect attack, you're hitting a square with +6, and a square has a 0 defense. So if we look at his sheet, he's got a 15 or less chance to hit, and I'm just gonna say he just automatically grabs the vehicle. I guess technically I could roll that, but I'm just gonna say he uses movement, right? It's like using your hands. He just picks something up. So he grabs this with his magnetic ability. He's got plenty of, he can lift 30,000, almost 31,000 pounds. So he lifts the car and he smashes it down. He rolls to hit the square. He rolls a 2. He hits where she was at one point. And if he had hit her, not only would he do the 2 die 10, he would also do extra damage from the weight of the car. So if we look up the rules under improvised weapons in section 4.14.7, it says you can pick up things like cars and use them as weapons. And the damage of an improvised weapon equals the object's mass roll plus the character's base hand-to-hand damage roll. Well, for our supervillain, he's using his magnetism in lieu of his base hand-to-hand, right? He's using the magnetism to lift it. So we just need to know the mass of the car. So we'll just assume it's, not a real big car and say it weighs like 3,840 pounds, 3,840 pounds. So for the mass, we'd go with half of that to 1920. We look across, and that's 2 die 6. So what he would have done is 2 die 10 plus 2 die 6. If she had been there, she would have taken 11 plus 9. She would have taken 20 kinetic points of damage, and he would have really messed up the car. But she wasn't there. So we'll go ahead and go on to the third round. Now, Flux doesn't know where Scream is. She's right next to him, but he doesn't know that. And we'll roll initiative again. Scream's got a die 6 plus 2. She rolls an 8 again. She's rolled an 8 every single round. Next up, we'll go ahead and roll for Flux, and he's a die 6 on initiative. And he rolls a 4. So we'll go ahead and put that down. And then the thug who's awake is also a die 6, and he gets a 3. So Scream goes first again, and we'll go ahead and she pays her 1 power to stay invisible. So now she's at 51. And she's going to use her weakness detection on Flux. When I look up weakness detection, it says the character is able to gain an advantage over opponents by analyzing their weaknesses. This voluntary ability takes an action which the character must spend within a 1-inch range of a subject who they can perceive with 4 analytical senses. And then it has a 0 PR cost. The character then learns one of the opponent's weaknesses, if any, and also gains a bonus to hit. And in Scream's case, gets a bonus to hit as well as damage because she has the structural weakness modifier. So she uses her action on phase 8 to find a weakness on the villain Flux. So he doesn't actually have any weaknesses, but now she gets a bonus of +4 to hit him and +4 damage. That took an action and 1 inch of her movement, and now she's going to sneak away from him a little further in a different direction. So I'll just have her move like over here, like this. So again, Thug number 2 and Flux get a chance to hear her, but they can't see her because she's invisible. Because she's sneaking, they both have to roll criticals with their basic sense of hearing to hear her. So Flux does not hear her. He rolls a 6. The Thug rolls a 1. He might actually hear her. So if he rolls below a 10 or less, it's a crit. It's a 12. He did not roll a crit, so he does not hear her. Okay. So Flux goes next on phase 4. And he's still holding the green car, which has been damaged quite a bit, but there's still metal in it, and he can still use it. So he's going to rotate it a little bit, and he's just guessing, and he's going to just smash it down in this corner over here. Like I said earlier, it's an area effect attack, and he basically needs a 20 or a 19 or less to hit the square. He does so, but she's not there, and he rolls his 2 die 10 and the 2 die 6 for the mass of the vehicle, and he gets a 6 and a 17. That's 23 more dice. At this point, that car is just pretty much nothing left. It's just going to be shredded. So we'll just remove it from the scene. It's just, he's basically just totally destroyed it. There's just little bits and pieces of it left. And now he's going to move. So we'll just move him over here, I guess. He might be taunting the superhero, trying to get Scream to say something, but she's not dumb, and she stays silent. Now, thug number 2, who woke up and then stood up, he's going to act, and he's at 1 hit point. So he's just going to run away, and he's going to spend 2 power and push his run. He's going to double it. So let's look up his running. He's got a ground move of 12, so he can double that. He spends 2 points of power, drops to 37 power, and he can run 24 squares. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. He's just at the edge of the map. So he's running away. Thug number 1 still has a chance to wake up. Let's see, he's at 4 hit points. He's got to roll a 4 or less on a d20. A 3. Well, these thugs are kind of lucky. He wakes up. So he's no longer knocked out, but he's prone. So we'll just say he spends his entire phase, his movement and his action, standing up. So now it's a new round. Scream's got a dice 6 plus 2. She rolls a 5 this time on initiative, so we'll put, so it's 8, 8, 8, and 5. Those are her initiatives. Let's reset the roller. Flux is a dice 6. He's a 4. So I've put down Flux's initiative of 4, and then there's the thug that's still there. Thug number 1, I believe. And his initiative roll is a 1. So we'll type that in. So he'll go last. So Scream again goes first. Now, because she used her fine weakness, she actually has an 18 or less to hit, and she does it 2d8 plus 4 damage. So she goes first. Let's look at our map. So she knows Flux is over here somewhere. So she's still sneaking. She's moving at half speed. 1, 2. Maybe move here just to have no range penalties. So she has an 18 or less to hit him. He also gets a chance to hear her again. He has to roll a 1. Rolls a 5. He does not hear her. So not only does she have an 18 or less, she has an extra plus 3 because he doesn't know where she is. So she has a 21 or less to hit him. She is going to attack twice. And she also has the willpower C self-control ability. So normally anyone can push for damage or movement or whatever. If you push for damage, it adds 2, but because she has this ability of self-control, she can actually push for plus 3 damage. So what she's going to do is she is going to use that. She's going to take a multiple attack action. So she is at a 21 or less to hit. Minus 3 is an 18 or less to hit. Minus Scream has a 2 physical defense, so that 16 or less. And she has no range penalty, so she's taken 2 pushed attacks where she gets extra damage because of her fine weakness and extra damage because she's pushing. So she will do, let's look at her sheet again. She will do 2d8 plus 7. And she has 2 chances to hit. So here's her first roll. Let's reset the roller. She needs a 16 or less. She rolls an 18. She missed. Her second roll's a 15, however, and she hits. So she's going to do 2d8 plus 7. And here's her roll. She rolled 18, which is outstanding. That also costs her power for the invisibility as well as the sonic blast. 2 sonic blasts, so 3 more power, dropping her to 48 power. Now Flux just took 18 kinetic damage. Now if it had been energy, he has invulnerability to that in addition to a magnetic field. Probably would have taken almost nothing. But her attack is kinetic damage, so 18, so the force field soaks up 4 of that, and he takes 14 damage. He's at 42 power, and actually he's less than that because he used the car twice, so he's at 40 power. I should say he used his magnetic manipulation twice, so he's at 40 power. So he did 18 to him, minus the 4 for the magnetic field becomes 14, minus 4 for rolling with it, drops him to 36. He takes 10 damage. He drops to 6 hit points. 16 minus 10 is 6. That is more than half his hit points, and that knocks him out. It knocks him out, and Sonic Blast does knockback, so he's going to take a lot of knockback. He took 10 hit points, and he has a mass roll of a d4. So let's roll his mass roll. So 10 hit points minus 2 is 8, so he gets knocked back 8 squares. So 1, 2, he's going to hit this car. And the way knockback works is it's a countdown. So it's 7, 6, and so basically he's hitting that car for 5 damage. He can't roll with it because he's unconscious. So he now drops to 1 hit point. So odds are he's not waking up. He's just laying there. He's damaged the car somewhat, dented it. But there's also this thug over here who woke up last round, and he can't see Scream, but he just saw a sonic blast. It's not invisible. Her blast is not invisible. So, he's going to take a pot shot at where he thinks she is, which is, kind of in this area. And there's rules for this, and I'll look it up. It's under the Acquiring Targets section of 4.6 in the rules. And so he has a chance, let's see, we'll give him his, he can't see her, she's invisible. So he can try and hear her, and she's not, the sonic blast, was loud, okay? So if he makes his regular 10 or less roll, he will succeed and only have a -3 to hit her. So here's his roll for that. 16, he fails, so that's a little question mark, or whatever that thing is. And according to that, it says the character senses that someone or something is around, but they can't locate it, identify a target, and suffer a penalty of -3 to defend against it. It says a character may still attack a target they failed to identify, of course, but at a -6 penalty to hit. So he has a chance to hit. He's just at a -6. He's not going to have a range penalty. That's thug number 1. I think this is, yeah. So with his pistol, he has a 14 or less chance to hit. -6 is 8. But Scream also has a defense of, she has a physical defense. And she has a 1. So his 8 drops to a 7 or less. So he has a chance to hit her. Not a great one. 9. So he came close, but he did not hit her. And then he's going to use his movement ability, or his movement, which I think is 12. And he's going to run away. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And actually, he could spend 2 power and double it. So he will do that. So another 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So he gets off the map. So we'll go ahead and end it there. Scream's first encounter with bad guys as a superhero was a total success. She took no hit point damage and took out the main bad guy. Now the 2 thugs got away. She could, if she wanted to, she could run after one of them, but not both of them. So she could probably catch one of them. But the main thing is she got the supervillain knocked out. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Catch you next time.